everyone, my name is Marissa and I'm going to do a tutorial today for the Potomac Bead Company. And for today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this pendant here that I'm calling my Itty Bitty DropDuo Pendant. And as you can see, it's a little pendant and it measures around about 3/4 of an inch. It's not quite an inch, and yeah, so it's a really cute little pendant. And so if you don't like wearing big, bold jewelry, this would be perfect for you. See, so yeah, about 3/4 of an inch. So this is perfect for, like I said, those of you who don't like big medallions or big bulky pendants, or this is also nice for a little girl. I made one for my niece and she loved it. So I have 3 here. One of them I've attached to a leather cording. The one I'm going to make for you today, I'm going to go ahead and attach it to a chain. And these are already ready to go. I haven't attached them to anything, but they already have a jump ring here and they're ready to go. So for this project, you are going to need a few things. You are going to need some drop duos and the drop duo round. And for today's pendant, I'm going to use the white Lila Vega luster, and you will need 6 per pendant. You will need some mini duos, and you will also need 6 per pendant. And I'm going to use the white baby blue luster. You will need some rondelles, the 2x3 rondelles, and I'm going to use the Potomac Bead Company rondelles. Whenever I bring out my 2x3 rondelles, I always have them in a tube. But don't pay attention to the tube because I always just put them in whatever empty tubes I have. So for example, this tube says O beads. Clearly they're not O beads, they're rondelles. So, but they are the 2x3 and I'm going to use the turquoise, and they are Potomac Bead Company rondelles. Love them. I just love them. You will also need some 15-0 seed beads, and I'm going to use 3 different colors. They're all Miyukis. And I'm going to use the Crystal Labrador Full, the Opal AB, and the Duracoat Opaque Dark Orchid. And again, these are 15-0s. You don't need to use 3 colors, but I would recommend using at least 2. It'll just give a little bit more depth and definition to your pendant. Whereas if you just use 1 color, it just might all look really, really blendy. So it's nicer if you use at least 2 colors. You also need 1 crystal chaton, and these are the Preciosa chatons. I'm going to use 1 of the crystal AB, and these are the SS39, and they are 8.3 millimeter. So this is how they come. They come in little bags of, I believe, 12. I believe there are 12 of them in this bag, so you're going to get quite a few chatons in the little bag. So the great thing about pendants too, though, is especially this one that's a small one, you can just, if you just have like a few left in your bag or a few mini duos left or a few of these little drop duos, you don't need a whole lot to make these little pendants. So they're perfect, you know, when you want to just use up leftovers in your stash. So you will also need a beading needle, and I have already threaded with 4 feet of thread, and I dropped it, is a size 10 beading needle. I'm going to start it with a 10, but I think I'm just going to switch, once I start using my 15-0s, a size 12 beading needle. It's just so much easier to sew through them when using a size 12. I like my size 10s for, like, once we do this part and you have to kind of sew through here where it gets nice and snug, it's easier to get through there with a size 10. And then we're going to work here, around here, to make this little bezeling. And you're going to be using 15-0, so it's better to use a size 12 for that. So, and as I said, I'm using Wildfire in the green, 0.006, and I have already threaded 4.5 feet. You may also need some flat nose pliers, so it's good to have these handy. Scissors or something to cut your thread or burn your thread with, and I'm going to use the Ultra Thread Zap. You will also need some jump rings, one to put here at the top of your pendant, and then for your to attach your findings to your cording. You will also need, and well, depending. This depends, because on this one I used leather cording and I had to use these little for the ends of my cord ends, this type, and then I attached the jump ring to that and then the lobster clasp to the jump ring. On this side, after the cord end, it was only a jump ring, so that's what I got here. But for this one, I'm going to use chain. So you don't, obviously you don't need cord ends, but you will need jump rings and a lobster claw. So I have these here also to the side. So go ahead and get your supplies together and we will be ready to go. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is thread on your needle 6 of your drop duos, and they are the drop duo rounds. So I didn't mention that at the start of the video, but they are the drop duo rounds, or your round drop duos. So check all your holes and on your drop duos and your mini duos, and go ahead and thread 6 of your drop duos separated by a mini duo in between each one. Once you have that, you also need a stop bead. So go ahead and put your stop bead and then put your drop duos and your mini duos. Check your holes to make sure nothing is clogged. That way you won't have any problem with a clogged bead while you're working on your project. So once you're coming out of this end, go ahead and circle back and go through everything one more time, and just make sure that you are still going through that same hole in all of your beads, especially your mini duos, because your mini duos are going to be flipping every which way. So just make sure you go through every one of them and you go through that same hole and pull. So you're not going to tie a knot just yet. You will tie one eventually, but not right now. So I'm almost here at my, well, I'm already here at my stop bead, but you want to go in past your stop bead to your first round drop duo. So get to that one. I also forgot to mention at the beginning of the project, you will need some 11-ohs for this step that we're going to do right now. So go ahead and get out some 11-ohs. I already have some here ready to go. So your 11-ohs are for your back part of your pendant, for this part here. Okay, so you're coming out of this drop duo, pick up 3 11-ohs on your needle, then circle around and go through that same drop duo in the opposite direction and pull. And then you want to go through the mini duo after it and go into your next drop duo. But just make sure when you go into your mini duo that you're still going in through that same hole that we've been using. So you should only be using one hole of your mini duos for right now. So now you're coming out of this, of the drop duo next to it. And it's going to look weird because these are going to be flipping around on you like that, and that's fine. Now you're going to pick up 2 of your 11-ohs and you're going to share one of your 11-ohs from the drop duo before this one. So you're still going to end up with 3, but you're going to share, you're going to add 2 and you're going to share that one, the one closest to the drop duo you're working out of, and pull. And then go through that same drop duo again, go through the mini duo, and then make your way to your next drop duo. And if you can't get them all at once, that's fine. So I'm coming out of my next drop duo and line, and it does kind of help to push your mini duos like that. So I'm coming out of this drop duo, going to pick up 2 11-0s. I'm going to pick up that one 11-0 that's closest to me. In other words, your 11-0s are going to look like you have one on the side, one in the middle, and one on the other side of your drop duo. So you're always going to be picking up the one on the side that's closest to the drop duo next to it that you're working with. So I have 2 already on, and I'm going to go through that one because we're sharing it. And I'm going to go through my drop duo again. And then we need to go through the mini duo and make our way to the next drop duo. So I'm coming out of here. I have to go in through my next drop duo. And we're going to do the same thing again. Pick up 2. We're going to go in through the end one to share it and pull. Go into your drop duo, your mini duo, and make your way to your next drop duo. And this is what you should have. Looks very weird. That's fine. Projects always look very weird at the beginning, but once we get going, everything comes together really nice. And this is no different. So, coming out of that drop duo, pick up 2, go through that one 11-0 closest. Try to stay in frame. Go through the drop duo, the mini duo, and we're going to make our way to our last drop duo. This one's going to be a little different, because now instead of just sharing one, we're going to be sharing 2 11-0s. Okay, so I'm coming out of my last drop duo, and as I said, this one's going to be a little bit different because we're going to share that 11-0 that's on the one in front of it. Pull, pick up one 11-0, and then we're going to share this other 11-0 on the other side of it. And then we're going to go through our same drop duo that we're working with again, and just go through the drop duo. So you're circling around and then make your way up to your middle 11-0. So make your way up to the middle 11-0. Once you're there, we're going to attach all of our middle 11-0s together. So you can see where you have one on the end, middle, end, middle, end, middle. So I'm coming out of my middle seed bead. I'm going to go through all the middle seed beads now. And I'm going to attach them all. I'm going to connect them all together. So it's going to give you a little bit of a star or a flower. And so once you've got them all connected, go through them a couple more times so it's nice and tight. So my next one. You can probably do 2 at a time, but just make sure that they're all only your middle seed beads. So as you can see, I've already attached them, connected them, well, except for one. But this is how it should look. And then once you've already done that, go through them, those same 6, 1 or 2 more times, so it's nice and snug. I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. Okay, so I've already reinforced my 6 little 11-0s here, and I'm coming out of one of my middle 11-0s. I'm going to make my way down to one of the side ones. And then I'm going to go in through that drop duo next to it. And then through the mini duo next to that drop duo. And see, this is where using your size 10 needle comes in easy, because if you had been using a size 12 for this step, it probably would have bent really bad. Okay, so I'm coming out of my mini duo from that same hole we've been using. Now hop on over to the top hole. So now we're going to be working with that hole. So your mini duo should more or less already kind of be in position. Now we're going to use our first color of 15-ohs. Mine's the opal AB. So I'm just going to put some here. You probably can't see them because they're white-ish or clearish, and they're on a white mat, but you'll be able to see them when I put them on my needle. So now we're going to connect all of our mini duos together by putting 3 15-ohs in between each one. So I picked up 3, and I'm going in through my next mini duo. Again, through that second hole, that upper hole. So I'm coming out, go 3 more 15-ohs go on, go into my next mini duo, and we are going to do this all the way around. So pick up 3, go into your next one, pull, pick up 3 more, go into your next one, and you can see already you can already see kind of the little encasing effect it has going on where our little chaton is going to be sitting, nestled in. So I'm almost done. Pick up 3 more, go into your last one. Now we're going to go 1 more round. I'm going to go ahead and put these away, because if I don't now, I'm going to end up with lots of seed beads, and then I'm not going to want to put them away. So now for my next color, I'm going to use the Duracoat Opaque Dark Orchid. And for this, you're going to make little picots. I'm going to put them closer to me so I can see better. We're going to make little picots. So I'm coming out of a mini duo. I'm going to pick up 3 more of my second color, circle around that same mini duo, and if I catch my other existing, my 15-ohs from my previous step, that's fine, because we need to go through them anyway to make our way to our next mini duo. So that's what we're going to do, and we're just going to be making these little picots on top of our mini duos. And again, it's okay to catch your 15-ohs that you already had there between your mini duos, because you need to go through them anyway to make your way to your next mini duo. Now if you want, you could have done this with the previous step, but I didn't, because this will kind of strengthen. This will put in another thread and make it stronger so that my encasing is nice and strong. But, you know, you can do that if you want. And just kind of position your 15-ohs. If they don't want to picot, just kind of arrange them so that they do. So we're almost done with this step. And then we're going to be working with our last color of 15-ohs, or in my case it's my last color because I'm using 3 colors. So I know my thumb is in the way, but I'm just doing the same step, doing my picots. So 3 more. Gonna go in, and I am trying to catch these 15 O's. If you don't, that's fine. Kind of fix them. My last set of 15 O's for my picots. And then once you do this last one, sew on, going through that same picot through the 1, 2, so you're coming out of your middle 15-0 from your picot. And we're going to be connecting all of our picots now, going through the middle seed bead of this step, or your picot, your actual picot bead, or your picot-most bead, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to add our last round of 15 O's. And then our little crystal is going to go in the middle. So it's going to sit in there just like that. So I'll be back. Okay, so for this next step, I'm coming out of my middle 15-0, or the picot part, and as I said, we're going to be going through each of the middle beads of the 15 O's that make up our picot, and to connect them, we're going to add 3 15 O's in between each one. So I just did one, and I need to go in through the next middle bead here and pull. So I got my 3 coming out of that middle bead, pick up 3 more and go in through the middle bead of the next one and pull, and then pick up 3 more. And when you're almost done with this step, I guess when you have just 2 more to fill out, 2 more spaces here to fill out, you can go ahead and grab your chaton, put it in the middle. You will have to hold it in place. It's going to be kind of loose still at this point until we tighten it up a bit. So I got 2 more. I'm going to go ahead and grab mine and put it in there. Because if you wait until you have all of these in there, all of your 15 O's, you might have a hard time putting it. Or you can keep it loose. Okay, just kind of have to, it's going to wiggle, it's going to run away from you even. So just grab it, put it in the middle, and you are going to have to hold it for this step. Once you have it where you want it, just, well, you're going to have to play around with it. So at this point, it's still going to be moving all over the place. So that's fine. Just pick up 3 more, go into your next. And then pick up 3 more and go into your last one. And then you are going to go through each of those sets of 3, skipping that picot bead. Oh wow. Skipping that picot bead, and you're going to tighten everything. Going through those 3 groupings of 3 at least twice. If you feel you can go in through it 3 more another time, go ahead and do that. Once you have it where you want it, just kind of keep your thumb on it. This part you kind of have to play around with, but it can be done. So I have it in there already. Now just go, I'm going to do this off camera, but you're going to go in through your groupings of 3 at least twice, and you're going to be skipping the little picot bead, which in mine is the purple bead. So go through the groupings of 3, and pulling tight, and that will keep your chaton in place. And I'll meet you back. Okay, so I already tightened these 15-0s, my groupings of 3 15-0s here. And now, once you've done that, now you can go through one of your middle picot beads, but just go through that and then go through the bottom of that little picot, and then go through this thing here, the mini duo. So you need to make your way down, and now we're going to once again make our way down to the okay, so I'm coming out of this top hole of my drop duo, and I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a rondelle, a 15-0, and go in through my next one. So so this step is pretty simple, and you're just going to do that all the way around. 15-0, rondelle, 15-0, next one, and then again, and there's our stop bead. I'm going to go ahead and pull this bead out because I don't need it, because we're going to tie a knot here in a little bit. So, and the bead kind of sticks out and annoys me. So there we go. And then our next one. So as you can see, this pendant takes very little supplies. You can just use whatever. If you only have just a few, not a few, but a little bit left in your container of this or that, pendants are great projects to finish up leftover beads. So are rings. Earrings can be also. So, which I think this would also make a real cute earring. And I could also see a necklace with this. You can even make it bigger. Add another row of drop duos to make it a little bit wider, to make it even as a centerpiece for or a focal point, not a centerpiece, but a focal point for a necklace. So, okay, now I'm going to sew and make my way back over there to tie a knot. Because after that, all I'm going to do is make a little loop at the top for my jump ring. And then after that, you'll be done. You just attach it to whatever you want to attach it to, which this one I'm going to attach it to an actual chain, not a leather cord. Okay, so I'm almost done. I just want to come out and not get caught here, or get this caught. Oh geez. And then I'm going to sew back down here so I can meet up with that string. And again, doing that with a size 10 needle is a lot easier. I'm just going to kind of do it to the back though. I'm going to stick this in through there, take it out, through the back. Same thing with my needle and thread. And tie my knot. So my knot will be done. And then, as I said, we'll just do our loop and attach it to whatever we want to attach. Okay, so I tied my knot, and I'm I'm already done with my rondelles. I have my chain here ready to go with my lobster and my jump rings on both sides. So my chain is ready. Now all I need to do is add my little loop here for my jump ring. So you're going to take your needle, be coming out of a 15-0 before a rondelle, and then go in through everything all around. This will make your little space for your loop. Before you really tighten it though, grab your jump ring and then put it in through there, because once you tighten it, it might be a little bit hard to get your jump ring in there unless you make your loop bigger. So I'm just going to do that now, and then I will tighten it and it'll be good to go. So this puts my loop with my jump ring, and once I tighten my pendant, well, not tighten it, but go through all of my beads here, then tie my half hitch knots, my pendant will be ready to go. Okay, so here is our finished pendant, and this is how it looks. So as I said, all I did was, after I added my rondelles, my 15-0 rondelle and 15-0 around on the outside like that, all I did was, when I was coming out of a 15-0 here before a rondelle, I put 6 15-0s on my needle, then I put my jump ring, and then I went around my piece, went around it again, and when I went around it a second time, meaning once I put 2 threads in my loop here, I started doing half hitch knots, and I would do them in front of the rondelle and pull them into the rondelle. So once I did that, I just attached my chain, and I had my chain ready already with these here jump rings and the lobster claw. And all I did was open the jump ring I had here and added my pendant to my chain. So this is what we got. And this is the other one on the leather cord. So it's just all, your supplies for this part, it's just going to depend what you're going to do. If you're going to put it on a chain, or if you're going to put it on leather cord, as I said, you will need cord ends along with your jump rings and your lobster, or whatever kind of clasp you're going to use. So this is what we have. These are our little pendants. This one I have it almost done. So this is how they look. Pretty quick, pretty cute, and very, very easy to make. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and thank you very much for watching.